I have a second. Thank you, Lillian. All in favor? Thank you. Motion carries. At this point in time, first we need to introduce our 2025 Blue Earth County Historical Society Board of Trustees. So if you could, please stand when your name is called. We have Joe Guck-Bailey, Brad Binding, who is not able to be here today, Marianne Brendan, Jennifer H. Guevara, boy, I butchered that again, didn't I? Treasurer, Catherine Hughes, Kirby Hurd, Secretary, Lillian Lamoureux, Jeff Lang, Kelly McBride, who is not able to join us, Christy Maruska, who is not able to join us, Eric Olson, who is not able to join us, myself, Jim Tetke, Dan Tomhave, who was also not able to join us, our Vice President, and Laurie Williams. I just want to say thank you to all of you and for all the work and hours and time that you put into this organization. Thank you. Everyone should have a copy of the 2025 annual report in front of them. I'm going to take a couple minutes just to talk about that generally and a little more. So I need to begin by saying thank you for being here to all of our members, volunteers, staff, partners, and friends of the Blue Earth County Historical Society. Thank you for showing up not only to a meeting, but in my eyes to a promise as well. Because this is what an institution like this ultimately is. It's a promise that is made across time. A promise that what came before will not be misplaced. A promise that what was endured will not be erased. And a promise that what was built very carefully, imperfectly, and sometimes at great cost will not be reduced to a slogan or a convenient story told for the comfort of the moment. Annual meetings have a practical purpose. We gather to account for the year that has passed and to set our footing for the year ahead. But in a deeper sense, we are also gathering to reaffirm why this work exists at all. We gather because we know something that is easy to forget in a culture trained to chase what is new. The past does not simply disappear because it becomes inconvenient to name. The past remains, and it shapes us, whether we attend to it honestly or whether we abandon it to distortion. And at this time, that distortion is not a hypothetical risk. It's a lived reality. Many people have felt over the past year the ground has kind of shifted under everyday life, socially, economically, politically. Many people have felt the pressure of uncertainty. Many people have learned how quickly a sense of stability can fray. And it's in these moments that it's tempting to treat local institutions as optional, pleasant but not essential. It's easy to say, we'll come back to this again when things settle down. The truth to me is exactly the opposite. When the world feels unsteady, the institutions that hold memory with care become more necessary, not less. When noise rises, evidence matters more. When our public life grows impatient, the slow disciplines, the preservation, the documentation, the interpretation become acts of civic steadiness. And when people feel unmoored, those stories of place, of family, work, change, struggle, and of renewal, all of these become our anchors. That is why this society matters. It's not just a set of buildings, it's not just a collection, it's not just an archive. It's a public trust. It's one of the places where we, the people of this community, is not merely claimed, but documented through the many objects and records, photographs, exhibits, programs. It's one of the places where the story of Blue Earth County is preserved in a form that can be tested and examined and taught. It's one of the places where memory is treated not as nostalgia, but as responsibility. This year, some of the Society's ongoing progress has been visible in a way that to anyone who walks up to this History Center. Exterior renovations help to strengthen accessibility and improve the visitor experience, change really what it feels like to approach this building. And it's more than an improvement, though, to pavement and space. It's a statement instead of welcome. It says, without words, that this is a place intended to be entered, used, and shared by everyone. It's a better threshold in community memory, and it matters because those thresholds matter. They shape who feels invited, who feels able to come in, and who feels that they belong. And the work hasn't stopped at that threshold either. Over the past year, Bex has returned to a fuller rhythm of public engagement, and this is something that many organizations have had to rebuild deliberately and patiently, especially since the COVID years. The Society has not just resumed expanded programming, it has renewed it. Offerings like the History Book Club speak to a very simple truth. History is not only something we preserve. History is something we gather around. It is something we learn in community. It is something we carry back into our own lives with a clearer sense of where we stand. At the same time, the board has kept its attention where it needs to be, on resilience and sustainability. And this is not glamorous work. It is, however, very essential work. These are the practical means by which the Society protects its capacity to care for collections, maintain the facilities, and offer that public programming. It helps us reduce vulnerability. It keeps the mission stable when conditions outside of the Society can become unstable. And that stability matters because the work of a historical society is not a one-year project. It's not a seasonal effort. It is a long obligation that spans generations. Preservation doesn't pause simply because a budget feels tight. Interpretation does not become less necessary simply because the public discourse becomes more difficult. Stewardship is a promise to the future. And promises have to be kept, even when keeping them requires discipline. It's important to say plainly that none of this happens by accident. None of this happens because someone had a good idea once upon a time 125 years ago. The Society's progress happens because people show up and they do the work with consistency, competence, and most often without fanfare. And that's why I have to take a moment to express some gratitude with the weight that it does deserve. To the staff of Bex, thank you. Thank you for the daily labor of stewardship. Thank you for the professionalism required to turn mission into operational reality. Thank you for the visible work, the programming, the visitor experience, public communication, and also for the invisible work, the records, the preservation, the logistics, the maintenance, and countless decisions that have been made carefully, because carefulness is what this work deserves. This community and this organization are fortunate beyond words for all that you do. Staff, could you take a moment, stand up, and be recognized? Thank you. To our volunteers, thank you. Thank you for giving time, skill, and attention. Thank you for choosing a form of service that very rarely offers applause, but always, always offers public value. Volunteers like yourselves are not extra help. Instead, you are part of the structure that makes all of this work possible. By extending capacity and bringing the knowledge that you bring, you serve as the living connection between those collections and this community. Any volunteers here? If you could, please stand up. Or raise your hands. Thank you. I've already said it once, we'll say it again to the board. Thank you as well. Board service a lot of time is often misunderstood. It's not about being seen. It's not about having opinions. It is about fiduciary responsibility and governance discipline and the willingness to deliberate very seriously when decisions are complex sometimes or imperfect or constrained by the world around us. So thank you for carrying that responsibility with the integrity that you all do. And finally, last but certainly not least, to the members, thank you. Membership is not passive. It's not just a receipt. It's not just a name on a list. Membership is a declaration that local history is a public good worthy of investment. Membership is a decision to keep this institution strong, not only for oneself, but for the community and especially for those who will come after us. In the uncertainty of the times that we are living in, member support is more crucial than ever. It is what gives BEX the stability to plan, to preserve, to interpret, and to remain accessible when other institutions have been and are forced to narrow their work or postpone their commitments. If this society is to remain steady in unsteady times, it will be because members choose year after year to make steadiness possible. So thank you. And that brings me to the central message that I hope everyone carries with you today, not as a slogan, but as a conviction. History must be presented with honesty, not with performative balance, not with a comfortable vagueness, not with a kind of soft focus that keeps everyone pleased by keeping the past unclear. Honesty is not a mood. Honesty is a discipline. It's the commitment to evidence, to context, to complexity. It's the refusal to tidy the past into something that never challenges us. It's the willingness to say this happened, even when what happened is painful, even when it complicates the stories that we prefer to tell. A historical society does not exist to protect a community from its past. It exists to help a community face its past with clarity. That includes the admirable chapters, and it includes the difficult ones. It includes achievements that are worth celebrating, but it also includes mistakes that must be remembered precisely because forgetting them makes repetition easier. Honest history is not an exercise in shame. Honest history is an investment in maturity. It is one of the ways a community becomes accountable to itself across time. This is why recent attempts to reinterpret historical events, primarily, well, really only to satisfy an agenda, are so deeply disturbing. When history is treated as a tool for contemporary legitimation, rather than a record to be studied with care, society loses something absolutely vital, and that is the capacity to learn from error. And this danger is not just academic. When communities discount the mistakes that have been made over time, they also discount the lessons that have been learned from them. When they blur the line between documentation and propaganda, between interpretation and invention, they weaken the shared standards of evidence that make public deliberation possible at all. A society that cannot remember honestly becomes easier to manipulate and harder to hold together. Now, the Blue Earth County Historical Society can't solve that problem alone. But Bex can stand firmly for something that matters, and that is integrity in the preservation and interpretation of our past. And that is what the Society is committed to doing, without apology and without selective memory, without shrinking from discomfort when discomfort is the price of truth. If honest history sometimes unsettles us, that does not mean the work has failed. It means the work is real. For better or worse, this is my final annual meeting in my tenure as board member. And it's worth also to take a moment to speak of transition. This year, more board members are stepping away than in the year just passed. And it's natural for people to notice that, and it's equally natural to wonder what that means, right? It's worth stating very clearly, it's not a sign of instability. Organizations that endure do not rely on any one person or any one small group of people to hold them together indefinitely. They build the kind of strength that allows leadership to rotate and allows new voices to enter, allows people who have carried responsibility for a time to step back, knowing the work is steady and the direction is sound, and that the institution can continue to move forward. Service of this kind teaches something that's really, really easy to overlook, and that is that progress rarely arrives in a single dramatic moment, parking lot being an exception. More often, it arrives through the accumulation of a set of disciplined choices, repairing what needs to be repaired, strengthening what already works, and building new practices carefully enough that they can last. It also teaches that this work depends on people who treat it as more than a job or more than a hobby. It depends instead on people who understand that community memory, once that has been neglected, is very, very difficult to rebuild. So it's not an ending in the sense of a conclusion this year. It's an ending in the sense of a handoff, and it's one that should be understood as an opportunity, not as a disruption. The Society's momentum, I'm so happy to say, is very, very real. The facility improvements are not the end of the story. They're an investment in what comes next. The renewed programming is not just a return to something familiar. It's a continuing invitation to gather around learning and belonging and shared memory. The sustainability work is not a defensive posture. It's a forward-looking strategy that protects our mission's integrity. And so the change is not complicated, though it is demanding. So please, keep supporting this society. Keep showing up. Keep bringing others with you. Keep making room in your lives for a place that insists, quietly but firmly, that evidence matters, that context matters, and that honesty matters. Because what is preserved here is not simply history. What is preserved here is a community's ability to know itself truthfully. And thank you for allowing me to be part of this work as well. Thank you for the trust and the collaboration and all of yours shared commitment to this institution. Thank you for sustaining this historical society as a public good and as a living steward of the stories that made this place.